There it is, a new look at Unreal Engine 5. And joining me now from Epic, we've got Chance and Galen to walk us through this demo. This is so exciting. Last year at Summer Game Fest, we showed the first look at UE5. Now it is in early access. And guys, great to have you with us. And Chance, I see you've got a PC and a controller with you, so we're going to prove that it's real.
Yeah, that's right. We've got the demo up here in the new UE5 UI. We'll be able to walk through a number of different aspects of it today, and yeah, poke around and see where things are in early access.
Well, it's amazing. It looks so incredible, and I know last year when I showed off that first UE5 demo, a lot of people said, "Is that real? Is it gameplay?" It was at the time, but today we saw another demo which looked incredible. So first thing I wanted to do was just have you guys actually play through this, prove it's real. So you've got, it looks like an Xbox controller there hooked up to a PC.
Yeah, that's right. So we are going to walk through it right now fully in the editor. It's running here in real time in the editor, just like in UE4. We can kind of do all the testing and building we need and play it without actually having it on actual target hardware. But for our project, we set out to target 30 frames a second on PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X as well. So runs across all those things today. But yeah, we want to take a look.
Let's do the honors. Yeah, show us the demo.
Right on. Let's dive in.
So there's Echo, who we saw last year, right?
That's right. We've got her sitting here at a campfire outside in a large photorealistic environment that was built with photo-scanned assets that are in, I don't know how many exact polygons we have in this scene. Galen, do you have any idea?
Well, so we have millions of instances actually in this environment, and each individual asset that makes up the environment weighs in around 2 million triangles, which is an absolutely staggering number compared to what we were pushing around for last gen. So it's very exciting from an artist perspective, being able to just have so much more detail than we ever had before in Engine. So.
Yeah, and so her moat here is used kind of as a drone to kind of explore some of this space out here and kind of get really far out. We can fly all the way into any of this, and you'll see that it's, depending on where all you go here, or wherever you go, I should say, it's all the same level of fidelity that you'd see up front where she is. So using Nanite allows us to get all these things in there, all these assets in there at just really crazy high fidelity, like we've never seen before, as Galen mentioned.
Yeah, and one thing that's really cool about this environment specifically is that we actually went on location in Moab, Utah, to actually go and actually source all this data. So all the assets that you're seeing here, we photo scanned out in the desert, and we scan with drones. We have handheld setups, all different types of equipment to actually gather that data. And so what you're seeing here is a true representation of kind of basically like sort of an impression of the area that we actually went and scanned in Moab. And the scale is just unbelievable in that area. It's just so impressive to see.
Wow. No, it builds on obviously what you guys showed last year, but now we've got some combat. We've got a real sort of gameplay sequence. And I think a lot of people watched the video and said, wow, that's a game I want to play. And you guys really mocked up this sort of feels like a 2 or 3 minute sequence where you get to kind of go through the entire the combat sequence and everything. So Chance is there. You've got the real controller we can see, and you're playing.
Let's do it.
Let's take Echo on her adventure.
And so what we're doing right here is actually just swapping into a completely different world, right? So Echo's not moving, her location stays the same, and we're just triggering a basically completely new area based on new materials that you're seeing. So there's transitions with the textures and everything like that. A completely new setup actually for the whole environment. So a lot of the same pieces you'll see are actually there, but she's now walking on a completely new bridge that didn't exist before we triggered the sequence here. So,
wow.
That's right. And again, everything here, just like the other environment, it's fully dynamically lit. And it's all using that high resolution nanite content as well. Given her new abilities that she didn't have the previous demonstration as well, using new modular tech.
Wow, and look at it, and you see there like the destruction, obviously, of the, so it's incredible geometry with nanite, but then also fully destructible, and the environment can change on the fly too.
That's right, 100% dynamic.
all fully
Yeah,
real time, right?
That's right. This creature is also a nanite creature. Every mesh on this thing is, I think something like 50 million triangles create everything he's got there. It's wholly nanite. And we're using some new animation tech we use new animation tech to build it. We have new animation tech to actually animate it and make sure that it can actually fire at Echo whenever she's trying to fight it here in the scene.
Yeah, and so all the detail on the robot specifically that you otherwise would have kind of projected using normal maps for last gen is actually modeled in entirely, right? So we're just kind of retopologizing much more dense geometry than we did in the past. So if you really kind of zoom in on the robot, you'll see all the different ridges and all the different details that the artists have carved in. It's all there, and it's really cool. You zoom up next to it, and it's kind of like a transformer. There's a bunch of stuff that's moving in there as well. It's a very impressive character that the guys threw together.
Yeah, everything here is running, just in the editor the same way we would build, any of our other games. We're able to test this not just on a package build, but we can pop out from here and do a number of different things that you would do as a developer to kind of, adjust locations of specific things.
I think that's such a key point, is that it's real-time gameplay, but also you guys can actually build and iterate and edit on this in the engine. You said just like pull right out there, so you can in real time sort of tweak things in the environment as you go, which is, one of the true powers of Unreal, which is amazing that this all can happen at that fidelity. And then artists, Galen, you can go in and then, retexture or paint things or modify the environment in real time, right?
Yeah, and just at a much higher level of detail than we ever were before. It really just feels like, as an artist, that we're kind of in this new generation, literally, right? Like, of being able to just create so much more visual richness than we had before. So it's a very exciting time as an artist, especially.
It's such a cool demo and really builds on, last year when we talked about Nanite, which, that level of detail that we're seeing there is incredible. And, Lumen and the global illumination throughout the environment. It's a year later now, and I'm curious, what did you guys want to accomplish with this demo? Obviously, today is a big day with early access that developers around the world can play this. They can download the project file and also build new things. But what did you guys want to accomplish with this new demo this year?
Yeah, so one of the things we've done quite a bit over the last generation of UE4 is we want to put not just great tools and tech in the hands of developers, but we want to do that early, and we also want to give them content that they can use to understand how things are built. So early access for us is the first way to bring the development community into the family with us, right? We've been using the tools for a while, trying to understand how they can best be used, and this demonstration was really a way for us to kind of say, okay, we're ready to release early access, or we're preparing to release early access. What would be something that we could put together that represents what is all possible today with the tools, and how can we give people an example of how those things are implemented? And so one of those was, all right, let's see how far we can push some of the Quixel content into an environment, right? And build something that's really nice and big and open that can kind of really stress those tools that let us know what our best practices we might actually have and actually going towards actually putting something in somebody's hands. And then separately too, there was a number of other different features when it came down to how to build specific animations that adapt to environments or that adapt to other data inside the world. That we want people to try early access and have a good time in doing that by seeing a good example that shows how they can actually implement it for their games.
Yeah, it's amazing to see what you guys put together. And in terms of kind of like the scale and scope of this demo, Galen, I know you guys, Moab was an inspiration, obviously, for what this is. But what was the time span of how long this took the team to put together at Epic?
We started this project in January. Yeah, so it was a very, very short timeline. We actually went to Moab at the end of last year to go and actually gather the data so that we could then hit the ground running basically the second that we got back from our winter break. And so, yeah, it was a pretty short turnaround as far as these types of projects are concerned. So
you guys went and scanned sort of, tell us what you did in Moab. You scanned, because I know Quixel has such an amazing library of environments, but you went and got more sort of textures to add into this?
Yeah, I mean, Moab is just such a visually striking place to be. If you ever get a chance to go, I mean, it's just so impressive. The scale of everything you see there is just wild. And so when we're out in the desert, we went and we went and sourced, assets that we felt like would be really valuable for what it was that we were trying to create. So we scan a lot with drones now, so really kind of getting much larger assets than we normally would. And then, we also break down environments down to really, really small components as well, right? So literally you'll see things that are the size of several story buildings down to, small pebbles and things that we can hold in our hands, right? And that's all the things that we need in order to sort of make a full environment like this. So breaking it down to an eco region specifically, that's what we like to do, and that's what we set out to accomplish here with this demo.
So do you guys have like Havoc drones or other drones like flying around taking pics? Like, is that how you get some of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. Yeah, so I mean it's custom, as far as like the way that we actually set up the drones specifically, right? To have the hardware needed and actually to get the data. And so we have a very talented team of developers, that makes just incredible hardware that allows us to kind of get this type of content. And so yeah, it's a pretty impressive process.
Talk a little bit about the creature, the ancient, as you said. I think you gave him the
Sure.
code name, Chuck. That was an outside developer, Aaron Sims company, kind of worked with you guys to build that character. Tell us a bit about that.
That's right. The Aaron Sims creative team, they are a concept house. They build, creatures for film. I believe they did the Demogorgon for Stranger Things. We engaged with them super early on to work with us on imagining that dark world that you saw us transition to that's on top of this, where Echo goes, and has a little bit more of her ability being used, to knock down the gate and then to go fight it. They were somebody that, they're traditional animators, they're traditional character folks, they were able to come in, kind of integrate with our team, both using these collaborative features we've got and work with our team to build out that dark space a bit, and in a couple areas, work on some of those assets. But then we have a number of other tools inside the engine that allow them to work in the engine in the spaces that are created there. So a typical challenge that a lot of game developers run into is that you have artists that are building assets outside of the engine, and then they're trying to bring them in and make them work with what's in the space. Similar to having artists working kind of in the same space at the same time, we're able to design interactions and design like kind of art, build art, like whether it's animation or actual physical art, kind of in the same space in the context that will be seen. And so they came in, they were able to work with us and wholly animate that entire creature, the Ancient, kind of from the ground up. Wholly in the engine. So all the animations there weren't used in another package that they had to then export and then test in the scene. They were able to get in there, make tweaks like live on the fly, save those things down, and then go from there. And just, while we're building this entire environment out of nanite, hyper-res geometry, the team decided to also just take a swing at building that creature wholly out of nanite meshes as well. So it's got something like over 50 million polygons attached directly to the skeleton.
50 million polygons just in the character?
Just in the character, yeah.
Chance, you've mentioned the video. We should mention again, like if people are interested in this, you can download UE5 now. And this project that we just showed, folks can download that and play it, but also edit it and build it. I'm sure people are going to be building, other games and versions of it off of that, right? It's all freely available to people to check out.
That's right. And just like everything else, the content is licensed to be used in the Unreal Engine 5 project. So say somebody wants to use this as a jumping off point, they can do that. They can move the character into their own game. They can use the Megascans assets, not even just these, but the rest of them from the Quixel library in their own projects as well. So yeah, we encourage anybody that's interested to download it, check it out. Even if you're not a game developer and you just want to kind of play through what we've got, you can do that. Just download it and then hit the play button and plug in your controller or use your mouse and keyboard and go from there.
Wow, that is so amazing. One other thing I want to ask you about before we go, a month or so ago, you guys introduced MetaHumans, and that's an amazing, web interface to build characters, and everyone got excited about that. Will that link into this or UE5, or how does that all relate to this?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you asked because I'd forgotten to mention it, but the Echo and the robot, or the Ancient, we call him the robot. Sometimes he's Chuck, sometimes, all kinds of names. They're both on the MetaHuman skeleton. So a lot of the assets there should be interchangeable as well. So we're
Meta
just
robot.
excited.
I thought meta human. I know there's meta robot now too.
That's right. I can't wait. I'm going to make one of Galen that is going to emerge from the ground. That
Yeah, I
have
was
to
going to
fight at the end of there.
say, Jeff, have you made your metahuman yet?
I was right in there. It's such and if people haven't played it, I mean, it's amazing because you don't even have to have UE installed, right? I mean, it's all cloud based, which is incredible over the web. So I think people have been designing characters, and so that will link right into UE5, and you can bring those rigs and characters right into even into this demo, I guess, right?
It's a big push for us when everything we do. We want to make sure that the tools that we build and the content we build works well together wherever we can. And so that was something that our product managers and animation, who actually helped build a lot of this, Jeremiah pushed to make sure that Echo was on the MetaHuman rig, just so we could do those things in the project.
Yeah, it's, I mean, amazing what you guys have accomplished with this. And last summer, we really kicked things off with UE5, and people went nuts seeing that, and sort of the first look at the engine and the gameplay, and no one believed it was real because it looked so incredible. And now you guys are back a year later with the engine, shipping in early access, and also this incredible new demo. So thanks for playing through it with us, and we can't wait to see where you guys take UE5 next.